Okay, Josie, I'll turn it over to you then.
All right, I now call this meeting to order. I would first like to motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All right. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Okay, next we have public comment. And so we did provide a call-in number if anyone from the public wanted to call in and participate. I think I saw that Catherine Whitaker from Culture, Arts, and Pride joined us, but I might ask her to hold on just a couple of minutes and we can talk about that initiative in the Culture, Arts, and or a little bit later in the agenda, just so that you guys can actually have some back and forth with her. She's a member of our, like I said, the Culture, Arts, and Pride Commission. So we want to talk about possibly partnering on an event. So I might ask her to hold on, but I didn't see anybody else in the lobby. Eric, was there anybody else there? Okay. Alrighty. So we can move forward from that one. Real fast, let's see. I'm gonna jump here real fast. Can I get a motion just to amend the agenda, just to switch items 4, 3, and 4, the order of items 3 and 4, just so we can go ahead and talk with Catherine about this while she's here?
I'll motion to switch items 3 and 4 on the agenda.
Is there a second?
And I will second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to ask Catherine to introduce herself. I know that CAP is what we call them for short, Culture, Arts, and Pride. They met recently and kind of discussed generally being supportive of the idea, but she wanted some feedback from you all as to kind of what you were thinking in terms of the cultural fair. So I will go ahead and introduce Catherine. You want to say a few words?
Sure, thank you. I appreciate it. This is Catherine Whitaker. I am coming to you as representative of the Culture, Arts, and Pride Commission. And as our name implies, we are, all things culture, arts, and pride. More recently, you've probably seen or heard more about the arts part of our commission, as I think a lot of folks have been reading about our murals and our traffic box art and that type of thing. So hopefully you all have seen or heard about some of that. That's why I'm really excited to be with you all. First of all, love the idea of a youth council. I'm so happy you guys are participating in our local community in this way. And I love the idea of a cultural fair because I think, one of the things we've talked about on the commission lately is that we have focused a lot on arts and particularly visual arts. And we'd love to do some more things around culture and pride as well. And so I think this is a great opportunity to partner with you guys to make this happen, and love to hear from you, your ideas for what that might look like. And then, just have a conversation about how we can be most helpful in supporting you to put this on and make it happen. So thanks for having me and look forward to the discussion.
All right, so you guys, anybody have thoughts on, kind of the structure or the focus that you would like for this cultural fair to take? I know previously you had discussions that, maybe a general thought was just to have different countries, cultures represented, just, have a table set up, maybe do like a sign up and try to recruit some folks to come in. And then there was some discussion about bringing in the arts from the various countries or even sports, things of that nature. Anybody want to speak to that and kind of provide some feedback?
I think that maybe it would be cool if we had like the focus in the opening on like different cultures' food. So we could have like each table with food, and then while you're there and eating and enjoying something from that, like you learn about the culture and learn about just more.
To have like a food element.
I also think that just from like a historical perspective for Charleston, to kind of focus on like maybe the countries that kind of make up the Charleston community. Like I know that even historically, like it kind of pulls from all over, and I think that would be interesting to kind of tie it back in.
Okay, good thought. Yeah.
We can maybe have it like for sure. Like I think we should do like outside, especially if like COVID numbers keep going up. And like you could do it where like people could like set up booths and stuff, but like maybe you could have like a ton of like different like food trucks come, like that are represent like different like types of food from around the world. It's like kind of going on to like whoever said food earlier, but like that could bring in like some more money as if you bring in food trucks.
Okay. And you all are wanting to do this event in like this later on in the year, correct? So you want to get through the start of the year, maybe look towards.
I think our best bet would probably be, especially with it being outside, would be the spring.
Okay. And we would certainly need to, work with CAP and our special events office to make sure that we kind of find a window where we don't have other like major events going on that would pull folks away from this fair. So I know we've got someone listening from our special events office, so that can probably just be a staff item that we can coordinate on kind of like the best time of year and put some potential dates together as options for you all and some locations. And we can start putting some structure around the event if that works for you all. And then Catherine, I think perhaps maybe, we can come back and have some more conversations with you, myself, and Nicole and figure out kind of each board's involvement in the event moving forward, if that works for you.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And like I said, we're open to all your ideas. I love what you guys have said. The vision here is good. Wanted to also mention one of our other members of CAP is Corey Austin, who's a sweetgrass basket maker, but also does a presentation on Gullah Geechee culture and talks about the art and the food and the music, all of that associated with that. I know this is, right here in our own backyard culture, as opposed to maybe what you guys are talking about, but I think it could be an additive part of this as well. But I think he would be another one that'd be interested in kind of helping us out with this one, supporting you guys in whatever way that looks like. So just wanted to mention Corey's particularly experienced in that, that Gullah Geechee culture and has done that presentation and things before. And I just think it might be really good to have that as a part of this as well, if you're open to that. So just wanted to float that idea as well.
Thoughts on that? Anybody?
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea, especially kind of goes in with what I was saying about kind of finding ways to tie all the different cultures back to Charleston, to kind of emphasize it as like a local community type of event.
Gotcha. Okay, great. All right, anything more on the cultural fair? Otherwise, I think staff has some guidance here that we can take it and run with it. Okay. All right. And just as a matter of update on your other priority projects, I have been in correspondence with our public services department, who has been working with DNR. They were on a hiatus of doing any type of volunteer projects during the height of COVID, and so they've just recently restarted those. And so mentioned to them about your desire to do an oyster bed renourishment. And so we do want to work with them on locations. And so I'm waiting on a list back from them about a list of possible locations for this oyster bed build. But he did give me two options on things that they allow for the oyster bed construction. So one is, we're kind of starting oyster season now. I guess this is technically our first cold snap. So this is when you would start eating oysters. And so he said they start bagging oyster shells from now through May, which would kind of lead us into a construction time, spring, summer, fall, even. I guess summer, because summer, at the end of summer is when you guys finish your session. Or they have this new, it's a marine environment safe wire material that they can also construct a bed out of. So wanted to see if you guys had a preference on which route to pursue. And then that'll give me something else to work with. And like I said, we can work together on finding locations, and then I'll come back to you all, and we'll solidify that as a summertime event.
Well, I don't really have a vast knowledge on the science behind oyster beds, but I would just generally say whichever is more environmentally conscious. I don't know. I feel like I don't have a expertise enough to say one way or the other.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think that in terms of location, maybe we should like zoom in more on areas that aren't typically renourished, and we should just focus on the areas that are less attended to. Because I know like Pitt Street, I think people go there a lot. So maybe areas other than that.
Okay. Alrighty. I will pass that along and say that you'd like to show some love to some other areas that aren't perhaps as well known or beloved. Make sure that the whole community is reaping the benefit of the work. Anything else? Okay. Alrighty. And then in terms of your pickup project, we are just working with public services. Anybody find any ideas for the reusable bags that we had talked about the last meeting for when you do your community-wide pickup event? Remember, we had talked about trying to find something that was reusable, not a plastic garbage bag. Was anybody able to find any recommendations there?
Well, I think we talked about it last time about, I know that on a smaller scale, the like wax paper bags can hold liquid, but are biodegradable. But I'm still not sure if they make them large scale or not. I can look that up.
Would like something like a reusable like grocery bag work? As far as like, I know I go to Costco a lot, so I know that Costco has like almost limits that can help with not leaks. Like if it does water, but it like is it able to release water quickly, and it doesn't like destroy. Does that make
Isabel, you cut out a little bit there towards the end, but I think I caught the gist of what you were saying. But yes, we are looking for something that would hold liquid, so that you're not picking things up and then walking through an area and potentially, if it's people drop who knows what on the ground, and so if it's something that needs to be removed along. And then certainly from like a reusable standpoint, we would need it to be something that if like we are going to use it over and over again and it not be a one-time use, that's something that could be completely cleaned for the next use. So because I know also, that was the concern. We looked at like burlap sacks, but again, it doesn't have that liquid retention component, but they would be like machine washable, so we could throw them in the wash afterwards. So it checked one box but not the other.
There's also it's still plastic, but like the type of bags that you get at Walmart now, they're like compostable plastic. I don't know. I mean, those are pretty small bags, but they're supposed to be like better for the environment. It's still plastic, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Okay. Well, I will. I'll pass those ideas along to public services, and we are working on nailing down a date. One thing that I will probably reach out to you all here shortly is to send me your locations for the pickup event, and that way we can go ahead and like post it as a sign up, send it out to groups, and ask groups to adopt their area. We'll go from there, and then probably have one or two of you at each location, just so that there's somebody on site that can run the event and hand out supplies and things of that nature. Any questions on the pickup event?
Yeah, I have one. So
Yep.
do the bags do they have to be like reusable, or can they just be like not like, what about like just like plain like paper bags? So, like technically you can't like use like a ton, but like I feel like it could, like the big like Lowe's bags almost that you use for like yard work. They're like big and cardboard you could use.
Yeah, again, those don't have the liquid retention properties that we would need for a pickup, because you'd be surprised what people will throw on the ground. And so that's part of the reason why we had used plastic previously, was you pick something up that still has liquid in it that should not be dripped around. We need to be able to retain that in. So the paper bags is a great idea, but it doesn't hold the liquid in. Anything else on that one? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and kind of jump to the now number 4, which is the mental health initiative. I did reach out to Nancy Shipman, who runs Wake Up Carolina. You all participated in their annual event, Our Community, Our Children, last spring. And with COVID, I'm not certain what her plan is for the event for 2021. So I did reach out and let her know that you all are interested in participating if the plan is to proceed with an event in whatever capacity. So I'm just waiting to hear back from her on that one. But I did also have a great conversation. I sent you all an email about it with one of the guidance counselors from Lucy Beckham High School. And she wanted to know a little bit more about your mental health initiatives and what concerns you all had as the youth of the community. And so it was a good conversation for me to provide the feedback that you all have shared with me. And, just pick her brain a little bit as well, and let her know some of your frustrations with, having access to resources on a regular and consistent basis. So in any case, I sent you all some questions. If you'll give me just a second here, I'll pull them up. And I really said, I want you to think about these, because this will kind of guide us. I don't want to put all of our eggs in the Our Community, Our Children event, and then that is the only way that you guys go about tackling this priority, because just based on your conversations, and you all had agreed at a previous meeting that this was your top priority. So I want to see if we can kind of tackle it in multiple different ways. So the first question I want to throw out to you all is, what are the causes or triggers of stress, anxiety, and depression amongst yourself or your peers? Because there are so many groups out there that tackle various, specific.
Catherine Whitaker, Culture, Arts, and Pride Commission.
Is now exiting.
For me, it was definitely like balancing all of the things from freshman year. It was just getting ready for college. Like making sure that all of my academics were in line, making sure I had enough extracurriculars, making sure that I had opportunities and I was testing. And I think it was the anxiety I felt I could classify as like overwhelming.
Okay.
And so something to sort of, yeah.
Anything else?
I know for a lot of people, not just school is a like stress-inducing activity, but like even the extracurriculars outside of school, most of the time they are used to fuel yourself and like help you kind of decompress after a day. But I think a lot of times people get caught up. Like, for example, I know in running, I get caught up a lot with my times and my score and like the team score that we have in our ranking. And so I know that that's another cause of stress amongst my peer group.
I think something else that's kind of a cause of stress has recently been just like COVID, coronavirus, and dealing with all of that, and just a lot of the uncertainties or quarantining and not seeing people that you're used to seeing, being in this unfamiliar situation. And even if it kind of seems like it's ending, obviously it's an ongoing thing that's really disrupted a lot of our lives pretty significantly. So I know that, at least for me, that's kind of been a cause of a little anxiety.
That's a point well taken, Walker. Anyone else?
Something that I know a lot of people struggle with, and just to like articulate what exactly causes so much of this anxiety, is the inability to like compartmentalize. Like Isabel was saying, like getting caught up running and not having the chance, like not taking that time to run and then time to do her schoolwork, but just getting caught up between all of the things. And that's the same feeling of overwhelming that I was feeling as well.
Where do you guys think that this pressure comes from? You keep talking about pressure and pressure to perform, get the right grades, make sure you've got all of your extracurriculars, your time for sporting. Where does that pressure come from? Is it self-initiated? Does it come from school, parents?
I feel like overall, I think it has a lot to do with being overbooked, like you overbooking yourself in a sense where you sign up or you promise to do a lot of things that you really don't have the time or schedule to do, and trying to fulfill the promises that you've made to attend certain events. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming, especially over a prolonged period of time.
Sure.
I think that it could definitely be self-induced and like intrinsic and extrinsic, in the sense that I think that especially now, just given like college admissions and all these things, that high school is almost inherently competitive regardless of where you go. Even if you yourself aren't competing in it, it's very evident that like there's competition going on around you. So that's definitely a factor in that, I think.
It sounds like for a lot of you, wanting to participate and be involved and do. Let me plug in my computer before I lose you here. Wanting to do, tons of activities. Okay, sorry. A lot of it comes from this idea of the next step, making sure that you get into the college that you would like, that you're in the classes that you want. Is there anything else besides, really, I would say kind of like college prep, that is driving this competitive nature? Eliza, you talked about high school being inherently competitive. Is there anything that's not necessarily college focused that's driving that competition?
I think that in our generation, a lot more people are just prone to anxiety between like social media and just societal standards that have really just been blown out of proportion. So it's not necessarily college related.
Okay.
And I also feel like another thing that could also be a little overwhelming as well could also include just trying to find direction, I guess, like where some people are trying to figure out exactly what they feel overwhelmed with their choices, and they feel like they have a lot of different ways that they can go, but they don't know exactly where to go next. Essentially, they have all these choices, especially going into high school, and then trying to pick a major for college, and then they're like, I can't. Some people are really undecided in what they want to do, and that can lead to a lot of anxiety as well.
Sure, absolutely.
And just an idea to throw out there, what I'm getting from y'all is different like causes of the problem, right? And a lot of times in like mental health initiatives, they talk about like, here's how to like cope with anxiety, here's how to cope with depression, here are things you can do to reduce your anxiety or reduce your stress. What if we also, as part of the initiative, tackled some of the things that are a little bit are mainly stress-inducing for high schoolers? Like, for example, college seems to be a really big, overwhelming thing, and like deciding what is the right major, what is the right college, like what do I want to decide to do with the rest of my life? So could we maybe like do classes or courses or like tips about different things or different components of causes of stress?
So at Academic Magnet last year, there was one seminar, like one meeting, one like opportunity to learn more about mental health through school. And it was actually scheduled during all of the focus classes. And Eliza, Taylor, and I gave up our focuses together to take an extra class. And the seminar was no longer available to us because of that. So like, I think schools are not understanding that kids are actually stressed. Like they have like these protocols and procedures that they need to follow, but it's for a reason. And
I think,
yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting also that I think that generally from a school counselor's perspective is that they're there to kind of alleviate a problem when it's brought to their attention. But I think so many things are never brought to their attention because I don't think that relationship is there between students and counselors, that even like minor, like I think that a lot of students feel that it has to be a major problem before it's like worth taking it to the counselor. Whereas if you could just go and take anything to a counselor, then you would see less like larger scale problems because it would never get to that point with students.
And I do think it's slightly like not unrealistic, but like not attainable to set the goal of like almost like reimagining the guidance counselor system within a school. I feel like that is a little unattainable. So I feel like the best way we could combat that is kind of provide our own like not services, but like our own information about it.
Absolutely. I feel like the personal relationship from guidance counselor to student is not where it needs to be. I feel like they are a very underutilized resource from the schools, in the sense that for the most part, most people have the notion that they don't take problems to a guidance counselor unless it's a major problem. And because of that, there's a lot of small problems that grow into larger ones. And I think, and I personally at Wando have had over my 4 years, I've had 4 different guidance counselors, so I never really got a chance to develop that personal relationship from one to the next, and it was kind of difficult to me personally be able to have that relationship with a guidance counselor to the point where I could take smaller problems to them. So I absolutely understand where everyone's coming from on that side of things.
So I remember you all talking about some concerns that you had with counselors in your school. And one of the things that I learned in my conversations was that not all guidance counselors are trained mental health professionals, counselors. So they serve a little bit of a different role, and that there is a push at the state level right now to provide funding for permanent mental health counselors in the schools. And so if that's, to Isabel's point, that's a big undertaking, but certainly I think, I'd have to do some more digging on that particular aspect, see where that conversation is at the state level. But certainly I think you could probably approach your state representatives about in the form of a letter, if that's something that you're interested in pursuing. And then certainly as another added step to that, and kind of the second part, or I guess the second question that I sent you all is, I sent you all, I saw that Bishop England created a mental health club. And I think several of you reached out and said, hey, yeah, we have mental health clubs at our schools too. And so wanted to see, which schools have an existing club, and get your thoughts on maybe combining resources with these clubs, or pulling all of them together and say, hey, let's tackle this kind of collectively. If you have any thoughts behind that.
Wando doesn't have one yet, but I know my friend and I are actually going to start one soon.
So you're a good resource to have at Wando. What about some of the others?
There is one at Magnet as well, and I'm on the email chain for it, but I haven't actually had the time to go to a meeting. So I'm not super helpful there. But I do have their contact. I can reach out to them. Right.
Walker, what about Porter Gal? Do you know of anything there?
Yeah, at Porter, our guidance counselor, like most people, it's a real open system, and a lot of people know how to use her and utilize the resources we have. It's kind of a big thing, mental health, and right now especially we have a lot more meeting times with like we have advisories there who you see every day, and those teachers are like, we're all real aware of how to identify problems and stuff there. So it's not as big a problem, mental health and all this at Porter, as it might be at some other places.
So it sounds like your counselors and your teachers have kind of provided that resource. You don't have like a student-led club or anything of that nature, correct?
I think we at one point have had a club, but it's not this year. We don't have any kind of meeting system with the students, and most people are pretty aware of how to get help if they need it.
Okay. So maybe if this is something that you guys want to pursue, maybe we would just utilize Walker and have him kind of be our point person back to Walker or Ethan. I know Ethan's not here tonight, but our point people back to Porter Goud. What about School of the Arts? Who are my School of the Arts folks? Anybody know about their?
I can text Isabel and see if she knows anything.
Yeah, we might not hear back from her tonight, but I'll make a note to follow up with her as well. Okay. All right. So, any other thoughts about approaching this kind of collectively, maybe getting some of the clubs together?
I feel like Lucy Beckham is kind of similar to how Walker described Porter.
Yep. That was who I spoke with, Chad, was Claire at Lucy Beckham, and she kind of mentioned the same, and they have a little bit of a different setup in terms of their scheduling and whatnot to allow for some kind of like decompression time for students every day as well. But I still, definitely want to make this as accessible as possible to everyone at the different schools. That's why you all represent different schools in the community. So making sure that we just have point people at each one that can kind of connect resources, and students, if they ask about it, would be great. What about, do you want me to dig any deeper at the state level to see where that is, or leave that one alone? I see some heads nodding, yes. Okay. All right. So how about this? Josie, I know you said you were on the email list for the club at Magnet. Would you be willing to reach out to them and just see what initiatives they have going on, and if they would be willing to kind of link up with clubs or resources at other schools to do something a little bit bigger and broader? I don't know if you guys have mentioned previously about tapping into your social media pages and kind of making that a resource for folks, but maybe just kind of starting that conversation at the school levels. Okay, great. All righty. Well, that was all I had on the mental health initiatives. Just wanted to dig into that a little bit more, kind of see where the causes really are, on top of it being a completely unprecedented pandemic. And I think Walker hit the nail on the head by saying there's so much uncertainty. There isn't a definitive end time for this pandemic, and things are changing daily. So the uncertainty really is a cause of anxiety for many. But you add that on top of a competitive time in your life and an uncertain and stressful time anyways, it just kind of compounds everything. So I definitely want to make sure that we're hitting this from several different angles if we're able to. Does anybody have any other ideas or ways to address mental health initiatives in the community that they'd like for the council to do?
Well, one thing that I noticed was mentioned earlier about the decompression times that I think you may have mentioned that as a part of Lucy Beckham's new initiative that they are running, as far as like allowing for time for students to be able to recuperate throughout the day. I feel like that is something that might need to be examined by some of the other schools around the area to see about, because I personally, being a senior, I do have a time in my schedule where I am allowed to have a study hall, but that's just one of the things that was beneficial to it. I did not have that junior year, sophomore year, and freshman year, but I see it as a really useful time to be able to kind of either take a breather or to do some work prior to getting home so I can be a little bit more free in the afternoon. And I feel like that shouldn't just be something that you have access to as a senior or as a junior, but something that everyone should have access to regardless of which school they go to. And it wouldn't really have to be incredibly resource heavy. I feel it's just an addition to a small addition to everyone's schedule, maybe like a skinny period for schools to possibly to look into. For just a 45-minute period where they kind of give everyone a study hall.
Gotcha. All right. That's good thoughts. Anybody else? Let me check my notes here, but I think that is everything that I had for this evening. So that gives me some parts and pieces to work on over the next month. Hopefully we'll have some dates and details solidified at least around 2 of your priority projects, if not 3, if we can figure out what's going on with Wake Up Carolina. So I'll keep you all posted via email, and then we'll start working on the mental health initiatives kind of at the school level. And for those of you that you don't have clubs, but you have great resources, maybe just asking you to schedule some time with your counselors and kind of pick their brains and see what is working so well at your school. Why do they think that the system that they've got set up works so well? Is it something that other schools can emulate? And kind of what are some lessons that we can take away from there and see how we can kind of combine efforts with other schools to make solutions that work one place, see if they can work elsewhere. So I will get working some more on the mental health initiatives, and then just want to remind you all that if there are topics that come up that you would like the council to weigh in on or discuss, I always send you the email when I'm putting the agenda together for the month. So just let me know if there's something you would like to have added to the agenda. We just get Josie's approval as the chair, and we'd be happy to add that on. But if there are no other comments or questions, we can go ahead and close out the meeting one more time. Anybody have anything?
Quick question.
Actually, yes.
Yep. So as far as social media goes, what are the next steps?
So I believe, and I don't think Eric is still on here, but he was waiting to hear back from a couple of you about your availability to schedule a time to go through training to run the social media accounts. So if those of you who are on the social media team, if you could send Eric your availability tonight, that would be great, and he can go ahead and get it scheduled, make sure that you all have the tools and the information necessary to run the account, and we can go ahead and get it going from there.
Awesome. And then also I wanted to ask about who was it that was starting the mental health club at Wando? I don't recall who mentioned. Somebody had mentioned that earlier in the meeting. I was just
That-
curious.
I can send you the information for it.
Okay, because yeah, I would be it would be great if I could I wouldn't mind at all helping out with that as well. So just probably in that group chat, in the group chat that we have or something like that. If you don't mind sending some information regarding the club.
Yeah, of course.
That would be amazing to have 2 of our youth counselors start a new mental health club at one of our schools.
Awesome.
That would be great, you guys. All right. Anybody else have anything?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you guys so much for your flexibility and switching to a virtual format. I think it worked out fairly well. If you have anything that you'd like the council to consider, please shoot me an email, and I wish you all a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. And I will look forward to seeing you back in December.
Thank you. You do as well.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
See you later.
you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Bye.